ready, Missy?
Mm-hmm. We're ready.
Lights, camera. Action. All right, we'll do hopefully 3 things today. We're going to tie up all the loose ends for the sewer drawing. Hopefully we can develop a punch list and answer any questions you may have for successful completion of that drawing. We're also going to go back to your architectural site plan. And I want to give you some information on that and define a couple tasks for it to get that moving back forward. With the thought that sometime next week we are printing that entire architectural set for evaluation. Third, you got the data set, or I'm hoping you got the data set from the GPS unit downloaded. Did anybody not get it? How come?
I wasn't here yesterday.
Oh, well, who was the last person that downloaded the data set? Becca? Who was the second to last person who downloaded it?
Me, oh, you're in trouble, that would be me.
Okay. Well, you know what you need to do, right? And then we're going to repeat the process with the other one. Now, the other one is a little older technology. It requires some specific software. And certainly we can bring it into the modern age, but I kind of like you seeing the progression of it. So I've got 2 old PCs that have a survey interface surface modeler software on it. And I'm going to get those up and running, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab one person for each PC, show you how to download the file, and give you some rudimentary skills on the PC, and then you would then train the next person. And we need to get those data sets downloaded today. In essence, we need to get moving forward on our final project. There's not a ton of drafting that needs to go with that. I think we can tie it up this week fairly good. But we're going to get that started as soon as we're done with lecture. I'll get the machine shut up, or not shut up, but started up. And then we'll move forward with that so you can start seeing that. We're going to use a program called Foresight for that. Okay. So those are hopefully the items that we do today. All right, let's go to your sewer drawing. And what I hope to do on this is just to develop a punch list for you on tasks still to do, and additionally answer any questions you may have. So let's start with the plan view first. Start with the plan view. Now I guess maybe the best thing to do is first open this up and say any questions you may have on this plan view and how we're going to display it. Just as a refresher, you did this as another drawing, you extracted in, we lined up manhole number 3 with our stationing down below, okay, and then just kind of placed it in a nice readable area here. Now, what are we really trying to display here? Remember, the purpose of this drawing is the sewer line. Okay, that's what the purpose is.
I'm gonna locate it.
Okay, so we need to locate the sewer line in both views. Okay, both views. Now, in the plan view, how are we going to locate that? When you locate on a piece of property, you locate from a property corner. Locate from a property corner. I think if you folks zoom in on this, and mine's red, let me switch the color of that real quick so you can see it. I'm going to probably do a little bit of line work here as we go through. So right now you have these kind of magenta lines that were shown. And if you zoom in on like where the manhole number 4 is, and if you zoom in on this magenta line here real close, you're going to see probably a little piece of text in there. That is a dimension. Now it is not set up for your format. But in essence, what you need to do for all of your proposed manholes is to locate them from a property corner. So in essence, you have 2 of them here. So we're coming from this property corner right here, and we're locating in my X direction, my Y direction, in the plan view. Okay, so a surveyor can stake that. Do you see that? Pretty straightforward. Set up a dim style. Should be an engineering dim style, so your Mech 1 would work very well here. then just go ahead and dimension it. You might want to use, remember that dim post variable? You don't have to, but remember dim post? We never really used it during the additional setup of that. But let me real quickly jump into a dim style and I'll show you where that's at. So if I go into my dim style and I go to my primary units tab, you can put a prefix or a suffix to any dimension. Dim post was the suffix one. Just put the foot mark in there. And it will then attach the foot at the end. Now, you don't have to do that. And in fact, I don't think many drafters really do this in today's world, since we now have dimensions as M text instead of D text. And so really, once you place your dimension, all you really also have to do is double click the text, and then you can put the foot mark in there. It's the same thing. But if you use dim post, it will go with every dimension until you delete that back out of that variable. Okay, so locate all of your manholes. And it should be an engineering dimension style. Now, how many of these manholes are proposed?
All of them except for the last one. 4 of them.
I got 3.
There's 4.
On our sheet it says 4.
Is, maybe my memory served me wrong, is manhole 3 a proposed manhole?
We located from that, so it
Yeah.
has to be there.
Well, no, that's where we're locating the drawing up. It doesn't have to be there yet.
1
Yeah,
through
3
4
is
say
proposed.
proposed manhole.
Okay, it'll tell, yeah, it'll tell you.
It says
So,
proposed.
Sean, you're in the text, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to the text on this.
1 through 4 are proposed and number 5 is existing.
Okay, there you go. Okay. So manhole 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6 are proposed. They need to be located. Manhole 7 is an existing. We do not have to locate it.
What do
All
you
right.
mean you don't have to locate? You don't want to say where it is?
Yeah, it's already out there. Okay. It's this one right up here.
So you just, okay.
But you do need the location of it in the plan view. So you're showing how we're tying in, because we're putting a new one in. It's tying into an existing one out here on East Linden Falls. All right, topo lines. Any questions on your topo lines?
And I wanted to remember, 11 doesn't do that job. I guess I can figure that out.
Keep in mind, on your topo lines, these are a mathematical guess. We used interpolation on where they're at. Don't hesitate to move them a little bit if you think it shows the valleys a little bit better. Like when I come down through here, I have altered all of these based off of not on interpolation, but just off of sight. In that this is obviously a ridge that is starting to develop here. And the survey data through interpolation, I think a couple of these corners kind of sneak off to this side over here. And it probably doesn't do this where it comes and then it takes like a nose type thing and then comes back. Feel free to move those a little bit. You can't get real drastic with it because the math is telling you where it should be if you assume a straight line slope, right? But you can adjust those just from sight a little bit. Now, do I have the grid and the elevations of all those points shown here? No. Why wouldn't I show those? Don't the contour lines show you that grid? That's why you did the contour lines. They are representing that grid. But yeah, you don't need to show both. And topo lines are the standard way to show elevation. Basically, again, so here we need to, one, we got to dimension it. And all we're doing here is proposed manholes. Any questions on how to do that? You locate the center. Freeze all non-pertinent layers. And I can't remember all of them on here, but I know the border I froze, the grid I froze, the points I froze. And you don't have to do anything except for freeze them, because you're not going to display them. If you had points that you use for interpolation, and they're showing on here, we don't want those on here. So freeze all those points. Put them on a layer by themselves and get rid of them. I don't know that I would go so far as to delete them, because then something happens and I need this map again, I might have to interpolate it all again. But you use the power of layers so you don't repeat your work. So we're showing contours. Showing property line. We're showing road. We're showing the sewer line, of course. Sewer with manholes. We're showing elevation control. What's my elevation control on here? What is my control? Because I got a major contour line right here, which requires labeling, right? And I gave you the line weights for those earlier, but I've got a label 3715. Well, isn't in your grid, isn't it labeled 15? How do I know it's 3715? I'll wait, go ahead and look. It's on the drawing.
Say that again?
How do you know the true elevation of this site?
That's where our first point started.
Well, it tells you there's a benchmark.
Okay, and what does that benchmark say? Cheryl, can you read it out loud?
Number 13 spike in power pole SE, corner Eastland Drive and Falls Avenue, elevation 3709.37.
Okay, there you go. That's your elevation control. So some surveyor from the city has established control in this area, and we used it for your elevation. Now, when you got your grid from the surveyors, they left off all the 37s because we don't need them. Not when we're writing down hundreds of numbers. Why do I write down 3709 50,000 times when everything's 37,000 feet or 3,700 feet above sea level? Let's just write the tens. Okay. So in essence, just a little trick to save a little bit of time, right?
Do you have to specify that in the legend or anywhere?
Nope, because that's your base data that we did in the office. On here, you're specifying it right here. You've also got this. That's your control. Okay, so we got elevation control. We got our sewer line with our manholes. We've got a road, property line. A lot of that text is just given for you. Check this text though. You know, like if you look at this, I think some of the arrows are a little whacked out for you and stuff. The leaders go into the text. Make sure it reads well, because your name's on this, not EHM's. So make sure you go through and do a red line on this character. Yes?
We XREF this file in
Mhm.
correct? Don't we have to make our changes on the XREF?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so we don't make it on, yeah, because we have to go back and do it, and then come back and then refresh it.
Yes, and I would
Okay.
remind you, there's two ways to do it. I can edit this XREF right here in this drawing just by double clicking it, and I get into XREF edit, right? But you can't use XREF Edit if you've got the drawing open also.
Okay.
Okay. So in my mind, I would shut all drawings down except for this, because when you double click this as XREF Edit, in essence, you'll suspend the drawing down below, the plan view, and you're gonna open that drawing. Then you do it and you save your changes, and then it updates everything for you automatically.
So if you're doing it and you're editing on your main drawing, the changes you make also go on the XREF?
No, the XREF's a drawing all by itself. Okay. So if you're down here working on this character, and then you come up here and you draw over the top of this one, it goes with this drawing. It doesn't go with this drawing. You would have to open this drawing, and you do it one of two ways. You use XREF Edit and open it right here, or you open it up here as its own separate drawing. You switch to it, make your changes, but then you're gonna have to refresh every time. Okay. Then I don't really care how you do it. I think if you want to stay current with technology, you'll use XREF Edit.
Okay, that was the problem, I didn't have it closed. Okay.
That is not that old a command, by the way. It's only been around probably 7, 8 years.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any questions on that? I think it's fairly straightforward, but go ahead.
So you have, all your other dimensions to do 2 decimal places except for the location ones? Because if you put 2 decimals, you don't get 117, you get, you don't get, whatever, 119, or you get 118.85. So you take, why do you go to 2 decimal places everywhere else, and you don't want them on
No,
there?
go to 2 decimal places. You go to what you have listed over here.
No, but you didn't, on that.
This is an old drawing.
Oh, okay.
You want to make this better. So over here, this is going to tell you what you go, right?
Okay.
If I have 2 decimal places here, guess what my dimensions are?
Okay. I'm just saying I couldn't get them to match unless I put them all. Okay.
Yep. You're not going to get any argument from me if you are
Okay.
better than an EHM drafter.
Okay.
This is, if you want, this is your notes for the title block. So in essence, we're basically just doing a generic note. We're going to Twin Falls standards on our manholes. Horizontal scale, vertical scale, contour interval. All units in decimal feet. North arrow. Now, one thing that's not on this that you may want to include, and I will give you extra credit for it. What else are we supposed to get put on a map? Remember when I asked you to take a piece of paper and trace a long curve thing? What'd you do with that piece of paper?
Scaled it.
You took it down to a graphic scale at the bottom of the map, right? This doesn't have a graphic scale on it. If you wish, put a graphic scale on it. If you have any questions on how to do that, I don't want to take the time, it's part of the lecture where we draw it. If you are going to do this and you have questions about it, get with me. And I'd be happy to sit down and demo it for you real quick, and you can go ahead and include that. Obviously, I will delete my demo off of your machine, and you would then have to produce it. Anything else on this drawing that you wish to know about? Okay, well, I'm going to assume that one's good. There's really, folks, in that top part, there's nothing that's new to you, except for contour lines. Everything else we've been dealing with for a while. Just make sure you follow standards, and you will be fine.
I do.
Yes?
You mentioned our last class, see there's all these blue other markers on there? Were we supposed to plot a different, more than what's in the book?
No, those are, your station marks are already on there. You're talking about the station marks, correct?
Is that what these are?
Measure in between them. Is there 100 feet in between them?
Okay. Yeah.
Those are station marks. And I think you already have your majors labeled too, don't you? That's all given to you. There was station 15, there's station 20, there's 25, and I think we're back off the page at that point. No, that's already all done for you. Okay. All right, let's go to the profile. Okay, we went over how to produce elevations, and we lined up the start of our sewer line. Is there any questions on the contour line? Let's start with that. So let's kind of start a new punch list here. I do it right here, so profile. Okay, so first we need the contour. Any questions on the contour line? So everybody was just fine, you got all your heights matched off with stations, put it in, draw a P line on it. Go ahead and put it should be a thicker line, right? So it should be something around an 024, it's a pretty major line. Should be labeled natural ground or existing surface or something of that nature.
Do we fit the P line or?
Yes, you should fit the P line. It is a contour line. We do that with all contours. Try and give the appearance of erosion having been on it. Now, keep in mind that does the contour line keep going? Does it keep going out this way? Does it keep going out this way? A lot of times normally we'd put a long break line that went with all of that. Many times in plan profiles, we just extend them a little past the project because we're gonna just say, hey, it goes about the same slope, and then just stop it, and we do not put long break lines. But I don't think anybody's gonna throw a big tizzy if you did include a long break line on it. And maybe even throw a little hatching on it. It's not really necessary with a profile view because it is expected that you are cutting through the surface of the earth on the drawing. Okay, that's part of the standard of the drawing. And no questions on the topo. Okay. How about the sewer line? Now, when you do the sewer line, in essence, you are locating inverts on the manhole. What is an invert on a manhole?
Don't give them my definition.
Google manholes. I'm going to pop open the internet and I'm going to Google a manhole. Yeah, it looks like I got to do manhole side view. I don't want to see the top. Let me find one that's kind of current looking. We've kind of changed how we do these a little bit over time. I can't even find any on here. Manhole.
Click on that picture right there, it goes to that one to the far left. Or,
Which one, this one?
no, the drawing, oh, that one, yeah, click on that one.
Well, I want a real one. I want some
If you go
conceptual.
down from that.
That one's brick. Let me just go real quickly through here. I'll see one sooner or later. I've actually got a bunch of them on my computer too, just not here on this one. Oh, there might be. But let's just look at this one. Yeah, that's not a great example for today's manholes. There's a pretty good one right here. Okay, so here's a good one. This one's real common in what we see in today's world right here. Okay. These are pretty much custom made. Concrete companies make them as part of their services, and something most people don't know, but Triple C, Idaho Concrete make these things. And they contract with the city, they form them up on site, on their site, and then haul them off to the place. So the engineering firm does drawings, gives it to Triple C or Idaho Concrete, they make it and then deliver it to the site. I don't know if many of you went down to Auger Falls when they were developing that, but they had, for 4 years, they had about 20 of these sitting out there. And there might still be a couple if you ever go down to that park and go walking. In essence, what you've got is you've got the street entrance, which is up here. This is typically an 18-inch hole, but it can be much less. It depends. Sometimes we have to have people that go down through them. Sometimes we take equipment down through them, so they're designed certain ways for that. Because maybe some manholes will run a snake through it or a mechanical device. I only need a 6-inch hole to run that thing through it. Some of them, if I've got to get people down into, it's a confined space, I need a minimum 18 inches. That's most of the ones you see. So you're driving down the street and it goes kerchunk, kerchunk, kerchunk every time you run over one. You're seeing that 18-inch thing. So a person squeezes through here and then they open up down here so that a person can move around. The invert is at the bottom. Okay, these can come in from all different directions. What we do is we track the bottom of the invert, because that's the bottom of the pipe. Most of these, in fact, pretty much all of them, are gravity systems. They're non-pumped. If we're going to pump the system, and we do have those, generally we run a lift station for that. That's a totally different system, because we got different pipes, everything, because now we got stuff under pressure. On a gravity system, generally we don't. Okay? So it's free flowing. So that invert, what you're given is you're given the bottom of that little hole